Um, Namaste, namaste. Salam alaikum, ni hao, salam. Hello in the languages of the different countries I've been so far. Today is Friday, the 22nd of June. So I've been traveling for almost 6 weeks now. Yesterday I clocked 10,000 kilometers for this trip. And there are only about 2.5 weeks left. But still, I reckon 7,000 kilometers. So it's time for an update. I'm here in Kazakhstan right now, near Chechkazgan. So the first country of my trip was Nepal, where I arrived on the 11th of May. One day later, on Sunday, I got my motorbike. It took 1 day to assemble it, to fix a problem that still existed from the crash in Bangkok. You can read about that on my blog. Then I still had to apply for the Indian visa in Kathmandu. So I didn't have much time to travel through Nepal and did only a loop from Kathmandu to Pokhara, where I stayed at the Overlander campsite, where Roland and Iris gave me a lot of useful information. Then I took the southern route back to Kathmandu, actually to Patan, where I stayed, the city beside Kathmandu. It was quite nice, but due to the political instability in Nepal at that time when I visited it, there was petrol shortage and a lot of road blockades, so it was not the best time to do overland traveling in Nepal. And actually I was quite happy when I got the Indian visa and could leave the country. So in India I had to choose between two itineraries. Either I do some sightseeing in Rajasthan, or I go to the Indian Himalaya region and focus on riding. After the first day in India, experiencing traffic, road conditions, people, I decided just to go straight through India. Well, my schedule was tight anyway, because I had to meet my Chinese guide at the Pakistani-Chinese border on the 31st of May. Background information to that is, if you want to go to China with your own vehicle, you have to get special permissions. And all these permits cost a lot of money, and you need an agency who does that, and you need a guide that accompanies you all the time while you're in China officially. So, and the permit is only valid for specific dates and a specific period of time. So arriving later at the border would just mean I would lose time, and I paid a lot of money for the 14-15 days in China. So I didn't want to lose that. So I decided to go straight through India, and just to survive the traffic and the food. And I consider myself as pretty lucky. I didn't get the Delhi Belly, the infamous Delhi Belly. But it was still a great time, because 3 days after I started riding in India, I arrived in New Delhi, where I met another motorcycle traveler. Nick is from Australia. He's traveling with his BMW GS 800 from Singapore to London for the Olympics. And we were riding together for the next 2 days, first to Rishikesh, then to Shimla. On the way I also had my first puncture, and Nick helped me a lot. After that was Pakistan, the next country, the country where I had so much trouble to get the visa. And the first stop was Lahore, where I did some sightseeing. Actually, the owner of the Backpackers Lahore, the hostel I stayed, Sajab, he showed us around, brought us to wedding festivities of some of his relatives. We went together to watch the ridiculous but entertaining border closing ceremony between Pakistan and India at Wagah border. And I got the information from another motorcycle couple from UK who were traveling on a Royal Enfield in this region, that it will probably take about 4 days to go up the Karakoram highway to the landslide lake, and maybe 1 more day after the lake to cross into China. So I relaxed in Lahore, enjoyed it a lot. It was very hot, so we couldn't do a lot, and just recharged my batteries for the Karakoram highway. Then in 2 days I drove up to the landslide lake, Was a tough ride, probably not advisable, but you can do it in 2 days if you must. At the Landslide Lake, unfortunately, I arrived a bit too late in the evening, so there were no more other passengers for the ferries, and it was too expensive for me alone. So I stayed there at the camp where also the policemen stayed. And it took me then in the end 2 more days to cross the lake and to cross into China, because the immigration and customs office in the last town before the border closes at 12, and crossing the lake and all that and unloading and loading took too long, so I didn't reach in time and had to stay 1 more day in Pakistan. So I reached China on the 1st of June. Was no problem with the guide and agency. I contacted them. So that was okay. And then I had awesome 2 weeks in China. There were 2 other motorcycle travelers from Germany, Uwe and Toni. We were riding together to Kashgar with a guide from the agency. But then from Kashgar on, the guide said, oh, you can go wherever you want. Just in 2 weeks, we will meet you at the border to Kazakhstan. So I could drive through the desert, camp in the desert one night, drive over the highlands in Xinjiang, down to the basin around Turpan, and then I had to go to Urumqi to get my visa for Kazakhstan. I did couch surfing at Dave's place. Not only Dave showed me around, also I had kind of personal guide from the agency called Emma. And then I crossed, I was supposed to cross to Kazakhstan on my birthday, 15th of June. And I drove all night long from Urumqi to the border to arrive in the morning, because the local coordinator from Kashgar, Tahir, he said, oh, he did all the permits for me. He said I have to be at the border in the morning because the process takes very long. There I met my local guide, and then the local guide, Moses, said, well, the paperwork isn't done yet, so we have to wait till the afternoon to get a call, and then we can cross. And then in the end, I still had to spend 1 more night in China and could only leave on 16th of June. Then I went to Almaty, stayed there for a couple of days, felt like being back in Europe already. Now I'm here stuck with the 5th puncture on my trip, hopefully the last one for this trip. And that's my update so far. I hope all of you are doing fine. And the more detailed reviews for the different countries, I will do that, I think, once I'm back in Germany. Till then,